The driver to build our automation center is really to bring our customers in, allow them to see the pieces of equipment or the systems in action so that they can connect the dots from what we have in terms of full end-of-line automation to their specific application, bringing those two together and giving them a chance to talk to the experts on our floor.
The Automation Center allows the customers to see simple automation, a step up in automation, and then full automation. It allows them to test their products. We allow them to come in, bring boxes, they can test everything that they need to see, go back to their plant and figure out the return on investment for them.
It was really exciting to see all the people that attended our Automation Center open house generate new ideas for their facility. They came in with a certain concept in their head or a way they wanted to do things and walked out with brand new ideas on ways to improve efficiency and productivity in their facility.
If you're looking for automation, any type of automation, simple automation, full line automation, we would love to invite you to come check out and see our Automation Center.
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Sam Singer. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing here at Rapid Packaging, and I want to thank everybody and welcome everybody to our webinar series. This is the third webinar in our three-part series about helping our customers and all of our community getting back to the new normal, as we would say. Hopefully you enjoyed the videos. Our marketing team did a great job of putting those together, and I'm sure there's a lot that you saw there that was seemed very similar to you. So today we're going to talk about some automation. We're bringing this to you in partnership with BestPack, one of our automation partners. I'll introduce our partners here in a second, Romar and John, who are going to take us through the automation options that we might have. And the goal here is really to help our customers, to help you understand how you can work through some of the labor challenges that we're seeing today, what options you have in front of you, what you can do as you bring in automation to relocate existing employees into more high impact positions and more high impact roles for your company. And then to just go through some of the, use these guys and their expertise to understand really how do you make those transitions, what you can do along the way, and really some tips and tricks or thoughts that you might have. So at the end, we're going to have some Q&A. If you've got questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We'd be more than happy to answer them. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to turn it over to John Bremner from BestPack to introduce himself, and then he will turn it to Romar, who will take us through some really interesting information, some videos, and get us going. So John, thank you so much, and over to you.
Well, thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for taking time to be with us today, whether you're joining us virtually or you're here with us today in Rapid Packaging's beautiful new automation center. We're delighted to be with you for what we hope will be a very interesting and a very enlightening webinar on packaging automation. My name is John Bremner. I'm the Midwest Region Sales Manager for BestPack Packaging Systems. I've been in the packaging industry for over 40 years, over 20 of those with BestPack. BestPack is based in Southern California and has been the industry leader in engineered case erecting and carton sealing automation solutions since 1984. As we begin to emerge from the global COVID pandemic, you might think that your greatest challenge in business is inflation and the rising cost of really just about everything. For example, one of my customers told me recently that they've received over 1,500 price increases from their vendor base in 2021 alone. It's almost impossible for them to keep up with. Or you might think that your greatest challenge is disruption to the supply chain, leading to long lead times for raw materials, components, and machinery, or possibly increasing freight costs, especially for those products that are imported into the US. Ocean freight costs have increased 500% in the last 12 months. It's just crazy. All this while demand for goods and services is soaring as the economy is roaring back. Clearly, there are plenty of business challenges today to go around for everyone. However, we at BestPack believe that the greatest long-term challenge to businesses of all types is the labor situation. Sadly, millions of jobs were lost during the pandemic. However, everywhere you go today, you see help wanted signs in front of most businesses. McDonald's is offering $500 signing bonuses for new employees. At Amazon, it's $1,000. And they're offering starting warehouse positions at up to $20 an hour, which many other employers are having to match to try to attract employees. That's good news for the American worker, but still businesses with all that cannot find enough workers to fill all of their open positions. This could be for a number of reasons: retirements, people choosing to remain home with their kids post-COVID, fears of going back to an office or a factory or distribution center for fear of catching COVID, people changing careers, taking time to be retrained, or people simply opting out and just not wanting to re-enter the workforce at this time. Really doesn't matter whatever the reason. Whatever that reason is, the lack of a suitable workforce has created tremendous demand for employers to automate some of the work that was done manually before, such as erecting and sealing the cartons that hold their products. And that's where BestPack comes in, because that's what we do best. We help businesses automate their processes. Mind you, the goal is not to replace employees. Not at all. It's just the opposite. To automate, the goal really is to automate some of those processes, the simpler processes, to increase production rates, to meet surging demand at those businesses and free up valued employees to use their skills in other areas. If someone can take a job that required 3 people to do before, and using automation can reduce that to 2 or 1 persons, that's a real win, and it's well worth the investment, and it's a great long-term investment. With that in mind, I'd like to introduce BestPack's National Sales Manager and officially recognized webinar guru, Romar Carl. Romar will now walk us through some of BestPack's automation solutions for business. Romar?
Appreciate it, John and Sam and Rapid. Thank you for having us here this month. We really appreciate the time, and thank you all for being here. I can't see any of you, but I'm sure you're all dressed in your best formal wear for this event. We're really fortunate to be partnered with Rapid and grateful to be here showing. So Sam and John have outlined it perfectly. You know, we have seen tremendous labor shortages throughout the industry, but that might not be the only reason why you're automating. There may be product appearance issues. I know that for myself, when I'm trying to go really fast and put tape on a box using a handheld tape dispenser, it doesn't always look the best. Sometimes I'll try and go really fast and I have to put on 2 strips instead of 1, but that's not what we want to go to the consumer and be seen as. There's also marketing things. There's so much you can do with printed tape and other things to help with the marketing efforts in your products. That lack of that skilled labor force, it's not just a labor force in general, but you think about your maintenance teams, right? With the equipment, you're going to need somebody there to take care of your equipment. And if you don't have someone, an engineer perhaps, or someone who knows about PLCs and HMI and motors and electrical components, that might be an issue, because it's not just our companies that are seeing the labor shortage, it's also those that support the equipment within your own facilities and other avenues of the supply chain. So we're going to talk about a few of the most common industries. I think that some of you are probably going to fall into these categories. You'll recognize many of these companies who are automating right now, and you'll see the variety of industries that they're in, from clothing to office supplies to retail distribution to food production. And these companies are finding many different ways to automate. They include powered conveyors, palletizers, stretch wrappers. Some are even getting into robots and automatic dispensers and things for small parts. What we're going to focus on today, just because it's BestPack's bread and butter, are the carton sealers and the carton erectors, which do play an integral part in the production process and the supply chain within facilities. So the first industry I wanted to highlight real quick is internet fulfillment. And if your company wasn't in internet fulfillment before, prior to COVID, perhaps you are now, because what has happened? Last year, we saw over 8,000 brick and mortar businesses go under. They went out of business because they no longer had the customers coming into their stores to buy products off the shelves. Everyone had to stay home. We all had to quarantine for so long. States now are still just trying to open up and get into large group settings. Most of the country, I think, is back to it again, but it's been well over a year, and that's a problem. So to sustain businesses, people have gone to the internet. The internet doesn't go down, doesn't get sick, right? And you can continue to sell products online. So if you weren't in there before, perhaps you are now, and you have your own reasons to automate. Some that were taken off that first slide that we saw, right? Marketing, I mentioned that. The speed, the higher output, we're going to talk about that in just a little bit, because everyone's trying to get as many products through their line and out the door as quickly as possible. Temp workers, right? The temp workers used to be abundant. You can't even find too many of those. And when you do, how long are they going to stay? It's an unknown variable. And so training, it costs money, it costs time. And of course, everyone's looking to lower their operating costs. Insurance continues to go up, wages continue to go up. Nice thing about automation, it doesn't get sick, it doesn't take off time. And as Sam said, we can use those operators in other parts of the facility to help continue to be productive and efficient. So in the internet fulfillment world, we typically see a couple different scenarios. I just wanted to highlight a couple of line process flows, just in case you might recognize one in your own facility, or maybe one looks pretty nice. But on the left side, this is showcasing a number of bottom sealers. These are semi-automatic machines. They require an operator to fold the flaps on a box and tape it, and then everything funnels through a single sealer on the end of the line. Obviously random, because every box size is going to be different. However, you may not have enough people there to run a bottom only sealer all the time. In that case, perhaps on the right side, you're using carton erectors, fully automatic machines that are then erecting the boxes for you. And we'll highlight a couple of these and the reasons why one may choose one over the other. And the first one here is that bottom only sealer. This is far and away the most popular machine used in the internet fulfillment industry for erecting boxes, hands down. It's all over the distribution center network for every industry out there. And it's really nice because you can put as many boxes through that machine as your operator can go. It's as fast as they can go. That 15 cartons a minute is a standard motor speed, but you can put high speed motors on that. And there's a lot of flexible options with accessories. You have casters on these machines. They're very lightweight. You roll it around from station to station. It really depends on what your facility, what your needs are there, what your capabilities are. You can put some flap folding apparatus on the front of it to help fold the flaps so the operator's not doing that. A couple things to really speed it up, but if you don't have something like this already, it's certainly something that may need to be considered because there's a lot we can do with it, and it is running the erecting side of distribution centers all across the country. On the back end, when you're sealing the tops, this is where it gets a little more flexible with options. All right, if you're maybe just getting into internet fulfillment or just getting into automation, a really nice entry-level machine is going to be what we call our RS or our RSL models. These are semi-automatic machines. You still need an operator there to fold the flaps and put it in, but you can see how it adjusts to any size box that you put in there within its capability, within its carton range. The benefit for these kind of equipments that we are seeing very, very heavily the past few years is in helping to reduce your overall spend, not only on packaging, but also on freight. All right, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the dimensional weight requirements now being put in by UPS and by FedEx, by many of these other freight carriers. They are requiring you to almost shrink the packaging and the box size as close to possible around the product inside it. Benefit to this is you save money on corrugated costs. You can save money on your void fill and your air pillows and bubble wrap and stuff, and you end up saving money on your freight costs. But historically, machines haven't been able to get really small. You know, parts are running into each other, and this is where a lot of the BestPack equipment has been able to get down to really small boxes. We've done a lot with our parts on these tape heads that can help you do a 3-inch wide box with 2-inch tape or a 4-inch wide box with 3-inch tape. You can get down to 1/2 inch tall. It can work out really well for you. So these semi-automatic machines have made huge strides over the last couple of years as we've seen these changes in dimensional weight requirements. Now, let's say you don't want that operator, or you don't have an operator period in order to fold the flaps on these machines, on these boxes. You can then look at some sort of fully automatic random option. This is a distribution center over in North Carolina. They've got a couple of these high-speed CSS sealers. These machines are running at 30 cartons a minute. And one reason that they put in the high-speed units on this is because of Amazon. And I don't know if you're like me, my household has a Prime membership. And one reason is because we love that free 2-day shipping. And companies are having a really hard time competing with that. They can do really well in getting their product packed and ready for shipment out the door, but then they have their own delays with getting it to the customer's doorstep. So one way they can help speed up the process still and hit that timetable is to increase further the speed of producing things in their own facility. There is one question that they often run into though. What about bubble mailers? What about space? What about small boxes that can't go through these machines or pre-tape boxes? One function that has really become popular during the last 1.5 years is this bypass function. All right, I'm going to show this video real quick. Look what happens here. That tape head just retracted into its cavity because that basket of eggs didn't need to be taped. And then it comes back to tape the boxes again that are coming through. All of these fully automatic random machines have the option with this bypass. And in fact, even the semi-automatic machines have this function as well, because sometimes you'll have semi-automatic machines in lines. The reason that this is so popular now is because in distribution centers, many times the cases that are ordered don't need to be opened. Parts don't need to be pulled out. You just slap a shipping label on it and send it down the line. It's going to cause a jam if that machine doesn't know that, hey, this box doesn't need taped. A lot of times people are using reusable plastic crates now, or wire baskets in the case of eggs here. This was a demand put on by retailers, Kroger for the egg industry, because they didn't want to have to keep spending money on buying boxes over and over and over. So again, bypass function, you reuse the boxes or the crates. Again, there's some savings there. In distribution centers, it's also about space. All right. Real estate is expensive. I live up in Idaho, but I hear about it in Texas, in Utah, California. The cost of real estate is astronomical right now. And to expand your building into a larger footprint is going to cost a small fortune. So people are trying to figure out, and you may be as well, how do I best utilize the space within my own building? One way is to have everything that's going out the door funnel through one single conveyor line. And we'll talk about this in the next section a little bit as well, but in distribution centers, it's bubble mailers, right? They can put all these little bubble mailers into small totes or baskets and run them through the same line as their boxes. And this bypass function helps them get to the palletizing area. That saves a lot of space because they don't have to be pulled off the line before it gets to the carton sealers and palletized there for UPS. So wanted to really highlight this function because it has been extremely popular and it might even be a good fit for your facility. Now at this time, we'd like to field any questions that you have based on the material that's been shared up to this point. I'll open the floor up for any questions that there might be.
Perfect. So we've got a couple of questions on the chat. Before I ask those, John, is there anything in the room?
I don't think so.
Okay. So here are the questions I've got. So I'll just pose these to John, and John can tell me what you want to do with them. So number one is I currently have 6 pack stations with a laborer at each. How many case sealers do I need to take 6 bodies down to 1 or 2? Almost sounds like one of those 5th grade math questions. It's like a rate equals distance times time thing, but no. In all seriousness, really, it's talking. We're asking, and I think it's a really valid question based on the topic. Is at what point do I need to look at migrating from automation or from bodies to automation? And this one very specifically, this person's got 6 people, and they really want to take that down to 1 or 2. So, any thoughts on that?
You know, it really depends on that customer's plant layout, how their pack stations are laid out, and if they could put a conveyor line in where those pack stations could feed. It totally depends. If you're going to need people there packing boxes anyway, it totally depends on layout and space considerations and exactly where they want to go with that type of a setup. It is possible. I've seen people take those situations down and reduce the head count by half or more, but it all really depends on the layout, and that's where people like your company, Sam, Rapid Packaging, who is really packaging experts. You guys are one of the best distributors that we deal with nationally that has great capabilities to come in, look at an operation, do a site survey, and then work with us on developing a new line layout. That works great as a team effort. Romar, you have any other feedback for that?
Yeah, I'd love to comment on this just because I've been able to transition a lot of companies in the e-commerce space from this situation to one that uses more automation. And the big kicker with them was it was their picking process, right? I assume that with all these packing stations, the product is probably being picked into some totes or something, and it's being brought to the packing station where the right size box is picked out, it's erected, it's packed, it's sealed, shipping label, all on that station. What they've done to change that kind of situation is referred to as a box last situation, because the box is chosen and erected after the product is picked and already at the station. What they've done is they've gone to a box first application, and they will use a machine like that bottom sealer that we showcased to seal all of these boxes, and each box gets a license plate put on it right after it's sealed or right before it's sealed. That license plate is a barcode that shows what the order is, right? What goes in it. Those boxes are then put on pick carts or going down a conveyor with photo eyes, and you pick straight to the box, all right? And then all of those boxes can go through the same void fill area, the same automatic sealer at the end of the line. It does require, as John mentioned, some more conveyance in the facility sometimes, but the way that you pick it will oftentimes have to adjust a little bit in order to decrease the amount of labor you have there and make the automation really work. But it's very doable. The ROI is fantastic. It just takes a little more effort to change the layout there.
That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, both John and Romar. And that, so there's a second question here, and I'll point this one at Romar. So what are the minimum and maximum box sizes that a customer can run on the machines that you showed?
On the machines that I showed, most of our standard units, the nomenclature will say like a 2.2 or something. That's essentially 20 inches wide, 20 inches tall. It's a gray area. It's about 20 to 21, in the width and height, but that's our standard units. They can get really low depending on the type of tape that you're sealing, even to 3 inches. We've done 3-inch cubed boxes, but each model's different. We can do 1/2 inch tall on some boxes for the printing industry, but our machines really, I like to think they don't have a size limit because we run couches, we run recliners through some of our equipment, so you can get really, really big. What we like to do is just find out what boxes you use, and we'll get a model there that's specific to your application and will fit your carton range.
Perfect. Thank you. That's what we've got on the line for right now. So Romar, I'll just turn it back over to you. You can keep rolling through. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Wonderful. Great questions, everybody. The second facet I wanted to focus on is food processing and manufacturing. E-commerce is very, very common. We all think about it, but food processing and manufacturing, this is something that's always been around. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years, right? Everyone has to eat, and it's not going away. However, they have their own issues with the labor shortage in particular, and they have some different reasons why they automate. Product appearance, number one. I mentioned how sloppy my boxes look when I'm trying to go really fast with a handheld tape dispenser. They're shipping food. If you get a box that's damaged and its product inside is something that you're going to eat, I usually hesitate. I want to buy the cans at the store that aren't dented, right? But the lack of a skilled labor force is extremely applicable in this type of situation because where are the farms? They're out in the country, right? And if you're processing the food, where are those processing facilities? They're typically out in the country as well. And is that where the population is? No, the population's usually in the cities. And so when you're struggling to find employees, especially skilled employees to take care of that equipment and stuff, it can be an issue out in the country. And lower operating costs as well is always on the mind of food. They can only raise their prices so much before people start looking at other options. And so they have the same issues in that regard as internet fulfillment. Their lines look a little bit different though, all right? Because manufacturing, it often takes quite a while in order to produce a widget. And you're producing the same widgets over and over, so the same box sizes are going to be used over and over. It's in batch runs. But it might take a minute to produce an item before it can go in the box. So on the left side of your screen here, you may have a lot of these packing stations for thermo injection molding or blow molding for bottles and things where the products are done to a minute or something like that. You pack them in and everything's in that small space because you have a whole bunch of lines. You just need small machines on each line. If your conveyance in your facility space can make it work, you can get an automatic Erector and it will make the same size box over and over. And you pack the products into that and then just run it through a top sealer at the end. So it's really all about layout, conveyance, how much space you have, but it's all easily doable. And to highlight the station real quick, this is a combo that works really, really well in a number of things, from bakeries that are doing hamburger buns, hot dog buns. It takes a couple packs to put in a box, and each pack has 6 or a dozen buns or something, so it takes a little time. Bottling, ammunition, which is going through the roof the last couple of years in production, candles, but you have a packing station, and it doesn't have to be pneumatic like this. It could be a T-rail as shown at the top of the slide that doesn't require air, but it holds the box down. You're able to pack the products, and in this case, in the video, a simple push of a button kicks that box into the sealer as you're turning around to grab another box. It's very fast. You go as fast as the operator can load boxes again, and you have accessories on the machine that close the flaps and take care of sealing the box. Very small footprint, nice turnkey solution for an operator there, and very inexpensive because these are semi-automatic machines. If you don't have the operators there, or if you have the budget to spend, a lot of companies have budget at the end of fiscal years, you may want to look into a fully automatic carton Erector. And these fully automatic carton erectors, again, if you're looking at this, and there is one right there for those who are live in Rapid Showroom, I see it on my camera screen. There's an erector right there. It's a pretty small footprint. You can get up to 100 single wall boxes in that hopper. It has box on demand technology, and what that means is with the photo eye at the back of the machine, on the video here where those boxes are spitting out, the video freezes right here in a second. Let's pretend that box just went in front of the photo eye. That means it's going to stop the machine from running. That could be maybe the packer walked away, right? And they're taking a break, but they don't, they're not turning off the machine and stuff. It has to stop. Maybe it's a small footprint and you can't keep having boxes being erected faster than you can pack them. That sensor is really nice because as soon as you move a box out of the way of that photo eye, the erector will turn on again and start producing boxes. So you go at the speed that you need it to. The small footprint, it works really well. The product appearance, you see the before and after pictures at the top. That's a picture of my Home Depot box. That's when I'm going really fast. I've got long tape tabs, that's excess waste. I've got multiple strips there. It just doesn't look good. But a machine will 100% of the time lay down a perfectly centered piece of tape on a box. That'll hold the seal great. It'll work really, really well. And you have fixed tab links. And so you're going to be saving money there. In a distribution center world, you saw the Outlook and internet fulfillment where they had some of these machines. And some of you may be wondering, well, hold on a sec. I have 9 different box sizes in my facility. These aren't random machine. How is it going to work? Out of those 9 different sizes, perhaps 2 or 3 of them make up 70%, 75% of what goes out the door. In distribution centers with that scenario, they'll get a carton erector for those high volume box sizes, and they don't have to worry about an operator doing that. Then they'll get one of those bottom only sealers for the other 4 or 5 sizes, and it'll be random. The operator will run that, and whenever the carton erector gets down to needing refilled, they'll stop making boxes, fill up the hopper, and then go back to making the odds and end sizes. So really, you can have an erector and a bottom only sealer with one operator. You don't need an operator for each machine. And that's a benefit that people are seeing for their high volume and their low volume sizes because they can use a single person to erect all the boxes that they need for that day. Really, really neat. On the back end, again, we have fully automatic equipment. And this one, because we're talking about manufacturing and food production, is different than that random one, right? This is uniform, it's batch runs, every size is the same. What you're seeing in this video is an egg facility because 12 dozen boxes, right? 15 dozen boxes. They're all going to be a lot of times the same size. These are high-speed capabilities. You can get over 50 boxes a minute on these machines because the machines aren't having to move left and right, up and down to fit different sizes. And they're very gentle on boxes. We're seeing a lot more recycled content from box manufacturers coming to the market. That material is softer. You're seeing companies like Frito-Lay. If you check out the box of bagged chips at the top of the screen, this is something that's very familiar to all of us, I assume. Costco, Walmart, Sam's Club, they sell these and they're chipboard, right? It's not corrugated material, it's a thin chipboard. And when you bend the flaps on automation, they really bow out the sides because the scores aren't very deep all the time. We've got these to run on the exact machines that you're looking in these videos, and it works extremely well for Frito-Lay. They're able to automate their processes despite the changes in material. And of course, packing eggs, you've got to be gentle in that. So really neat features, very, very popular machines that have been around for decades, and honestly, they're not going anywhere. I do have to, however, talk about the fully automatic machines, and you're watching here that bypass video again. And you might be wondering, okay, well, you're focused so much on uniform batch run sizes. Why is this in with food production and manufacturing? Space, that real estate component that I mentioned earlier. People are usually in this industry, they have a production line dedicated to every size box. But because they need additional space for production or something like that, they are merging conveyor lines into one sealer, and all of a sudden that has to become random. You're seeing it in meat, in frozen foods, meat industry, and a lot of these changes are being demanded by retailers and consumers. Before, I think, I don't know, a couple decades ago, when you bought eggs, it was, here's a 12 dozen or an 18 dozen box, right? Well, now all of a sudden you've got 7.5 dozen, 8 dozen, 5 dozen. You know, everyone's seen the little 5 dozen boxes at the stores. In meat, it's what size steak do you want, right? Is this going to be a 3 ounce, a 5 ounce, a 7 ounce? The consumers are demanding so many different sizes. The retailers are putting that demand to the processors, and they're having to come out with new packaging sizes and requirements. Random automation is one of the waves of the future for food processing and manufacturing as well, for space issues and consumer requirements. So we wanted to really highlight that here. The plastic crates, the last component for this is reusability, right? It costs money to buy boxes over and over and over again if you're shipping to the same retailers. So if those guys can send the packaging back to you and you can reuse it again, that saves cost, especially if the truck's going back and forth anyways. And that's where these plastic reusable crates have been really, really nice in saving money. And again, the bypass function on random equipment helps companies achieve those savings. So this is, again, we'd like to open up the floor for everybody for questions based on this other material. And then we'll finish off the presentation with just a few slides highlighting what's trending now and what we're moving toward in the future. So Sam, right back at you.
Awesome. Thank you, Romar. Great stuff. We do have one more question on the line for this segment. And the question is, somebody's run into an application for a fully automatic random case erector, and they want to know if something like that may exist.
It's coming. Historically, carton erectors are just for uniform sizes. But with the use of robots and other technology now, random carton erectors are right around the corner. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute on a couple slides.
Oh, well, then I got you set up perfectly.
That was wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't know if John has anything live, but any questions in the demo center there, John?
No questions here, but Romar, I echo what you're talking about. The use of collaborative robots is really growing. BestPack is pretty heavily involved and invested in this technology, and it's going to take case erecting, which is an area where people can really save time and save labor, but it is a uniform situation. If you have 2,000 boxes a day that you're setting up, maybe 4 different sizes, you'd have to run them through this very case erector right here, the Elvis, but they would take 3 or 4 changeovers. You might be able to do in 2 hours what takes you 8 hours, but you'd have to do them uniformly. Using collaborative robots, as Romar said, is right around the corner. Stay tuned for that one.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. So Romar, I know you got a few more slides. I'll turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, so moving forward, let's see what's trending. We've talked about the carton erectors, the high-speed fully automatic sealers. Those aren't going anywhere. So if your facility still needs something like that, you're definitely not behind the curve at all. These are very applicable and the ROI is fantastic on them. What we're seeing in production engineering development right now are a few other components like remote connectivity for service and PMs when you can't get someone on site to take care of that machine. We're seeing the robotics for palletizing, pick and pack, carton erecting, and we're also seeing a lot of on-demand technology and data acquisition. And I wanted to just speak to those 3 things very, very briefly because they might be something that you hadn't thought of before for your own facility. They might be something that you're like, oh, that's really neat, that would be beneficial. And just to let you know, it's right around the corner. So starting out with that random carton erecting, great question, whoever asked it, thank you for leading into this. Random carton erecting is that's the wave of the future. It's right now because everyone has been forced to go online, sell their products online, and you know that no 2 people are going to order the exact same number of pens and staplers, right? It's just not going to happen. So cobots, collaborative robots, they are extremely safe. They are extremely simple. And they are very small in footprint and relatively inexpensive. So what we're able to do, and we have a lot of these robots on our floor right now, is we're working with a few different brands to do random carton erecting where they can grab different box sizes, erect it real quick in a very small footprint. We have it in testing at facilities in Mexico. We have it in testing in facilities in Indiana. They are really doing an extremely good job at this point of getting this random carton erecting feature up and running. And the ROI is fantastic. These are so inexpensive compared to some of the larger robots that you see in the picture on the right. I mean, the cost of one of those is going to be $250,000, right? Just starting out. But a collaborative robot, that cost for just the robot itself, you're looking at just $25,000 to $30,000. It's much less expensive. So fantastic ROI, and that's going to be coming out. I think we'll have solutions ready for the market here in January 2022. So right around the corner. There we go. Data acquisition. This is happening right now. We want to know in our facilities, how are our lines performing? What's the efficiency, right? Is one line slower or faster than another? Are there starvation points in the line? Are some equipment having issues that are taking away from how many products we can get out the door? This data acquisition is something that on a carton sealer, which is at the end of the line, you really have your finger on the pulse of the entire line upstream of it, right? So predictive analysis is my favorite feature on this, and that helps with preventative maintenance, right? If just as an example, on your tape machine, you have a blade that cuts the tape, and over time that gets dull and wears down. But if you know that after every X number of boxes, that blade is going to wear out and need changed, this data acquisition will tell you, hey, this is 100 boxes before that X factor. Let's change the blade out now so we don't run into any problems. That's just a very small example. There's a lot of opportunities for predictive analysis, but it will help maintain the operational efficiency of the equipment so that you don't have any production downtime. And the last thing I wanted to highlight here is, again, that lack of skilled labor that we're all talking about. It doesn't just affect your facilities, it affects the other companies that are servicing the equipment and everything. So the remote connectivity we have on a lot of our fully automatic machines now help us to diagnose issues, software changes and stuff without having to be on site. It speeds up your production time, it gets it up and running very quickly, which saves cash, it saves money. And you now have peace of mind as the facility manager or the production manager that, hey, I'm not going to experience these issues and run into them. So if you have an opportunity to get paired up with a preventative maintenance program for your equipment of some type, because it may take time for a technician to get out there, I highly recommend it, and companies are jumping at this all the time. I can't stress enough how many EWANs and other technology we have going out the door to help make sure these machines keep on running, because it's hard to get bodies on site now due to lack of labor, and with more automation comes more needs at different facilities, and these guys are getting stretched thin. So ours is known as the BestPack Advantage program. Talk to Rapid about it, talk to John about it. It's a great function, but some sort of support program may be something that's in the cards for your own facility. So that's the end of that presentation. Very much appreciate Sam, Laura, Rapid for putting this on and allowing us to be here. I'd like to open up the floor one final time for questions, if anybody has any.
Well, thank you so much, Romar. We don't have any more questions on the line. John, any questions in the room or any last thoughts that you'd like to share?
We don't have any questions here in the demonstration center. However, I would like to say that BestPack is an engineering company at heart. There's a big difference between what we do and what many of our competitors do. They might have 5 or 10 models of tapers or one case erector, and hoping that your carton size fits in the operating range of their machine. If it doesn't, or you have a unique operation or you need something special, they really can't help you. BestPack has tremendous capabilities along with Rapid Packaging to custom design and modify equipment for your packaging needs. There isn't an application that's too small or too large for us. If you think that if you're having that labor problem, as we've been discussing here today, really we have many solutions. We have where many of our competitors have 5 or 10 models of machines. We've got, I think 150 was the last count, and we're willing to modify our machines. And we've done that for many applications, whether they're pick and pack applications. We can design a system for you to really help you and automate your process. So that being said, Sam, it's back to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again, to our friends at BestPack, to Romar and to John, I really appreciate you guys stepping in to support us on our webinar series. And hopefully for those who are on the line have learned something today and feel a little bit more comfortable in how they can pivot with the employee challenges that we're having today, not only to offset some of the labor gap that we have, but also to figure out ways that we can move employees into some more high impacting roles within their organization. So with that, our information's on the screen here. If you want to contact us, be more than happy to talk through your specific situations with you. And we just really appreciate the time that you put in today. So thank you, John. Thank you, Romar. Thank you to all you guys online. And everybody have a fantastic Tuesday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.